Is joining us. Welcome, I'm your happy healer lover. Welcome to the program. In just a moment, you see our blue text up, and that's going to be the staple here on the program. Just watch for that blue text, and you know that we're still getting on other channels, so just remain patient, and we'll get started in just a moment. They're loading up. Just another probably 20 seconds or so. Hope you're having a great evening. Okay, and let's go ahead and get things off to a go here. So welcome to the program. I'm your happy hero lover, Keith Landy. Today's date is Saturday. It is now time 8:44 p.m. Unless you're on the West Coast, where our subject for the evening is from Kevin Paffrath for governor of the state of California. So this is a very fair session of Kevin Paffrath and his wish to be governor, as well as many other facts about Kevin, including just how detrimental greed can really be on society. And that is what he teaches, and that's what he wants to be as your next governor of the state of California. I don't think that's what the people want, really, and so that's what we're talking about here on the show. And I want you to really pay attention closely. This next clip is actually Kevin Paffrath on Millennial Money, which I do check often. He's got his friends on there, such as Graham Stephan and Andre and Jeremy. And together the foursome come on once a week, and they talk about everything to do with finance, including Kevin Paffrath's run for governor. And I want you to have a look, and here goes next.
To me, it's really just a game of chairs. And how quickly can you sit down and sell before the whole thing collapses?
No,
I mean, that's really what it is. Let's build this as high as it could go. We're all going to make some money, but we just got to sell out before everyone else.
I agree with you that's inevitably what will happen. But, what is the result of that? Was it worth it? And it just seems to me that it is to reveal how corrupt these practices are. Is the price of admission worth it? As long as you don't invest into all your money into it, thinking that you're going to get 1,000% return, or it's going to go to $100,000, is it worth participating in this for the short squeeze just to reveal how corrupt some of these hedge funds are?
That's
why I'm invested into it, because I feel like I could be part of that movement.
I have a feeling a lot of people don't care about the hedge funds; they just want to make money.
Well, exactly.
That's what I think.
And that's the thing. A lot of people are like, well, this is going to change our lives and things like that. And Andre, your parents came here, to America, right? Imagine your parents working their tail off, right? And they save themselves $5,000, right? And they hear everybody, this AMC stock's going to make you rich and take away all your problems. And so they stick their $5,000 in AMC when it's whatever price, right? And then it collapses. You know what I mean? Like,
I don't know. I feel like my parents lived in a different age where there was no internet, so they didn't have the research tools that we do today. Mm-hmm. And so I don't think that the average retail investor is as uninformed as they were when my parents were investing. So, I do think it's a different dynamic.
Yeah, it depends, man, on how it's pitched, I guess you can say. But the hedge funds, I don't know why everybody worries about the hedge funds. Hedge funds are trash. Like, I actually do stock market investing, right? Hedge funds are trash. Like, I don't care what hedge funds do. They're a joke. They're a joke. You know what I mean? Honestly, I don't know why everybody's so caught up in hedge funds. They're trash.
Yeah, I've almost never understood that too. I've been completely indifferent to the moves of hedge funds, and anything they do tends to be short term. Like, a lot of their actions won't impact the price of the stock over years. Like, maybe over days, weeks, or even months. But I don't think 5 years down the line, the moves of hedge funds will have much of an influence on what I'm investing in. So I've never.
Most hedge funds can't even beat the market. These guys are trash.
Don't you think that historically hedge funds have used their influence to bankrupt companies? So maybe long term, yeah, they're not going to affect big companies, big corporations like Apple, but smaller ones like, AMC. I think when you have a machine that builds a narrative and tells news outlets that this stock's going to go down and it creates negative sentiment and investors pull out, I think it destroys companies. And I think it's kind of important to reveal that.
That gets more into short selling and not just specifically hedge funds then, in my opinion, because, short sellers are dirty. There's no doubt about that. Extremely dirty.
GameStop's still at 19%. There could still be some squeeze in there. But now I think people are going to be walking around with, I call it the shotgun approach, where in the momentum trades, it's kind of like, all right, we did AMC. And now, they could come back to AMC in the momentum trades. But right now, it's kind of like, oh, it's Clover, boom, it's Wendy's, boom, 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 it's Workhorse, boom, right? And then they go back, in the momentum trades. Feels like I just went to Vegas and won, and I really like it.
Right.
Wait, we were focused on AMC, and then they go back to AMC, pump that up, pump that up, pump that up, pump that up. My brilliant self thought, hey, you know what? Feels like I just went to Vegas and won, and I really like it.
Right.
Pump that up in the momentum trades, So I think it's a little you don't have to be. My brilliant self thought, how do I want to say? You don't have to be what is it? What do you only have one relation?
Monogamous.
Yeah, exactly. You could be a stock polygamist, and then they go back to AMC, pump that up in the momentum trades. There you go.
Well, did you guys
in the momentum trades?
Well, did you guys see that interview that Melissa Lee did? I forget with who.
Oh, with the naked.
The guy just slipped up, or what happened? And her reaction was like, that was interesting. I don't know what to make of that.
See, they brought up naked shorting. She had this face of death on her. I feel like she got told in the earpiece no, don't go there, drop that. And because her face was just like, and because her face was like.
The guy she was interviewing was basically admitting that, yeah, there's naked short selling on the market. Like, oh, confirmed.
Yeah, but and I mean, the SEC doesn't say it's illegal. In some cases it's okay, but it definitely has a really bad reputation. It's okay, but
I saw that you posted that. Do you know how many days or how long you could have it outstanding before it's considered illegal? Is it a 3-day period or something?
It's okay, but as I think what it is, it's kind of like an intention. It's okay. My guess, it's within the settlement timeframes like that, 2-3 days. My guess, because really if the rule is that hey, look, if there's an illiquidity event and it's oh crap, we did, my guess, as I think what it is, it's kind of like an intention. My guess, the brokerage is yeah, no problem, we'll my guess, customer service, you got it, we'll short 1 million shares of AMC for you. Okay, let's go locate that. Oh gosh, this is gonna be hard. And as long as they're putting a good faith effort in, as I think what it is, it's kind of like an intention that it's okay, that happens in events of illiquidity. It's okay, but where it becomes a problem is if the brokers and market makers are colluding with funds that are shorting and yeah, we'll make it short that for you. That's, I think, when it becomes illegal. That's my understanding.
That's such a gray area. Did you guys see that the SEC's rehiring the investigator for that? Because they got too close to the hedge funds, apparently. So the SEC they were doing the investigations for the naked short selling, and they had to replace the inspector for it.
Wow.
Yeah, so that's kind of interesting.
Yeah, very interesting. Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. Oh, that would be a very interesting.
So that's kind of interesting.
Wow.
Yeah.
My guess, as I think what it is, it's kind of like an intention. I'm also pre-funding the campaign, which is robbing me blind.
Oh,
so
wow.
I don't have as much money as I usually do to invest in stocks. As I think what it is, it's kind of like an intention. And so I'm really doing the momentum, which I have to say, I mean, like I threw money into Workhorse and I took like 31K profit out in like a day on it. And I'm like, wow, that's cool. I only invested like, I think 40K or whatever.
You don't get into the bad habits. That's what I'm afraid some people are going to think like, oh, this is so easy. I just,
in some cases, it's okay. It's okay. It's okay. As I think what it is, it's kind of like an intention. It feels like I just went to Vegas and won, and I really like it.
Right. It's addicting.
Nicely done, man. Yeah, as long as you don't get into the bad habits. That's what I'm afraid some people are going to think like, oh, this is so easy. I just trade around.
No, you gotta be careful. I got nipped a little bit today because I bought like 4 or 5 different calls, small bits. Relatively. I'm pissed. This was like a blatant representation of manipulation, in my opinion, and I'm just not happy. I did put 10K into an option this morning on AMC, my momentum trade, and I'm pretty sure that's only worth like 7.5 right now, but I also feel like I got screwed on that with that change. Even with this like $2,500 loss, boy, that doesn't even feel right. It just feels wrong. If you're upset as well, make sure to go to mckevin.com/life or check out the programs linked down below on Building Your Wealth, where you can use that 40% off coupon code to make sure you can build your wealth with stocks and psychology of money, real estate investing, making YouTube videos, sales, my momentum trade, 10, 15K, somewhere on there, into a few different companies. And I really want to wait for a red day, and then maybe I'll go heavier and make some bigger bets on some, like maybe like 50K or something, or 50, 75K or whatever. I was an option on something. I'm pissed. This was like a blatant representation of manipulation, in my opinion, and I'm just not happy. So feel like I got screwed on that with that change.
Welcome back. Sorry about that, but I just do want to make sure you can hear me. And so, good evening. It is live, so sometimes those things happen. Welcome back. It's Saturday, and it's almost 9 p.m. on the East Coast, the West Coast, 6 p.m. I'm your happy healer lover, and this is AmericanMantics. First and foremost, this is about you. It's about why I do anything at all. I don't come on here making fuss about people simply for the sake of making someone look bad or to pick on anyone. That's not my goal. I'm here to empower folks with a better way of thinking. That's the goal. I know that perfection is fleeting in this life, and it teaches many of us to be pragmatic about things. It's hard to believe in the magic of life, even though the truth is life is so incredibly magical. I want to start with a video that is a bit comedy and a bit truth, and that's what we did. And I hope you enjoyed that. We have some other good stuff coming up, and I think you'll enjoy all of our prepared media. And so what I find myself telling people often is that I wish you saw yourself as I see you. You don't need to fight for that. You have value in my eyes. It's the first thing that I noticed about you, and it's immense value that you have. It's the kind of value that can make anything possible. It's the value that you possess is twofold. You are a creator in your own right, and you're a conscious observer. You're a part of a great grand humanity that loves you, and you're appreciated in your capacity to help make life better and a happier, healthier experience for us all. And most of all, I can see in you the desire to see that the very best comes true for humanity as a whole. Those energies that are true about all people are only ever get to be realized in small ways in greed hell. Ways that we can improve upon because of our technology too, though. All it takes is realizing how bad the problem is to realize how important a solution is to that problem. Is it fixable? Yes, it's fixable. We can do so much better than we do. And then the question becomes, if it's fixable, what then is holding us back? Why are we not fixing it if we can fix it? Well, we're trying to, and in some ways we advance. But the main problem that we fail in goes to the central wish that we all hold true and dear to our hearts. The one that we want to see all humanity do well and the best that we can all do, based on our sciences, ingenuity, and technological means. That is, I like to call it efficiency. We wouldn't want to leave any capability on the floor, so to speak, when it comes to serving that most central cause. And that we fail in the way specifically that we can do so much incredibly better has serious and dire consequences to the human health of the human spirit. It's the difference between society not taking care of its people in complete ways that allows for further growth and development and greater benefit for all. Say in the year 1980, there was far less consequences to falling short of meeting our obligations to one another because our capability at that time still lacked in its depths and its wants, and it's not really capable of providing a higher standard of living to all people, like now. However, the table has turned so completely. Folks realize the dire need to take care of their neighbors and almost become physically ill at the notion of leaving people in despair, especially when otherwise is possible, while living it up in a lap of luxury for themselves, coupled with the ideological beliefs and the belief and knowledge that the vast value each of our magical lives hold. The product of a creator who loves us. It's a real joy for a person with a conscience. And it's not fun to go through to see these hard times for people. So they set aside for any notions of higher living and advanced citizenship, and they simply thrive in greed. Many people do, and that's what Kevin does, and that's what the world teaches. And even when he teaches that, he leaves so much important to your soul out while maximizing his own benefit. And all of his effort goes in that direction, convincing you to give him what he wants and making everything about that. I know that I have an extremely hard time accepting what is true about people with purpose and value, dying in ways that are uncalled for. And we wouldn't let that happen to our own family. And we shouldn't let it happen to our larger human family either. If it can be avoided, we would be better off for it. It's what we want as a whole, and yet it eludes us. Many of us feel it's a dream worthy to have, but far from realistic. That's also not true. It's a realistic, and it's within our means. There's one overarching reason that combines all of this, making it one big reality that we have to deal with. And that is the energy of greed. And the place in which we live, greed hell, is only greed hell because of the power of the devil. Greed itself is running our lives. It's something that we allow it to do, but not something that must be done. That is a major difference between an ideology that sees value in people and has their priorities rooted in the kind of value that gives their own lives meaning and purpose. Realizing the value of others makes the magic in life return. It shows you how people have such deep, meaningful existence and purpose, that this life is a gift and that it's ours for the taking. Yet, we allow fear and greed to guide our actions. It doesn't matter that our common fate remains the same. We all die in a more painful death as long as our compassion for one another is not in line with our ideological beliefs. So, it confirms the fake notion that people actually have no value. That is a world where one can do anything, and they feel it's without consequence. It's what Kevin does. It's the world we live in now. But it's the fake world. The world I feel most true in is a loving world. The world that Kevin teaches about is a fake world. A world made of greed, where he's the central character to his own play, convincing you to put your money into his pocket. We have a growing number of greedy bastards like me, Kevin, who believe in those ways, while hard and not ideal, nor the correct way for people to be, that they can thrive. Compared to those that don't do Kevin's ways, perhaps they thrive in greed. And they live in good lives. They see the misery that we see too. And they worry just for themselves. I always say, to love yourself as hard as you can so you can truly appreciate everyone else and truly be your best self. What these folks are doing by putting greed ahead, they're forsaking that value and realizing that by doing that, they're dampening their lives. That's the trade-off required to make absolutely certain that you don't also live in the same kind of misery as those who don't do greed, like your happy healer, very well. But outstanding lovers are generous givers. They're largesse to a fault, and they suffer because of it in greed hell, and that's a horrible reality in the year 2021. With an exponential growing number of people who are increasingly realizing love with a high spiritual IQ and a heightened compassion, that the human happiness, even of their own soul, just as it confirms their value in man, it confirms the value that they possess as a human being to themselves. They see compassion and love as the answer to humanity. That most central ideological belief into the value of people is deeply enduring, applauding, appreciating, and approving, and is most central to every honest broker of truth. Within his own perception of his own worth applied to himself, and only then outwardly to the rest of humanity. Though we have learned to internalize things and compartmentalize things, we have no business compartmentalizing in ways that we do. We do what oppressed people do when they can't live to the fullest expression and vision of their own lives. The very notion of freedom, at the very least, the empowerment of freedom, comes to mind. What are people really capable of achieving in such a broken world? Incapable of seeing the value of humanity, equal to the hearts and central to the soul of mankind. That deep and abiding spiritual value most of us hold true in ways that are increasing by the day. That is the force that realizes our value, and that should be guiding our lives, not greed. Each person would be embraced and empowered in ways that greed hell could never compete, no matter how many video course subscriptions you have to Kevin's Greedy Show. Oh, have you realized, as I have? Since I began this series, Kevin has also made some big changes. It's almost like the things that I'm reporting on here are taking hold in Kevin's life and ringing true to the colossal ways he fails. He could do way better if he only lived with the kind of love that allows for humility. Then you can pick up the phone and call people. You can make an effort. You can show yourself to be caring. You can be courageous. Stand up in situations where someone questions your moral fortitude. You can remind them of how much they mean to you. In these ways, Kevin gets the lowest grade one can receive, as he is rude and dismissive of people that he sees beneath him. So therefore, they are petty to Kevin, not worthy of consideration, unless it's to make Kevin more money. That is the difference between greed hell, as Kevin practices it and teaches it, and love. This is what Kevin teaches to the world, and most people observe it and think it's productive and helpful without seeing the entire package of Kevin's Paffrath's world. And it would be a logical conclusion. You would see it in the way people speak, at least in the ways that speak to the deepest regard and passion for life itself and the value of their own lives, and all of us as human beings. They get frustrated that anybody would attempt to speak in negative terms of ways that have helped keep them from the misery that others face. And therein lies the power of greed hell. It keeps you in there instead of solving problems. And for those who do greed better, end up richer for it. The greedier you are, the richer you are in greed hell, but not society. Next, I want to show you a video of Kevin Paffrath for governor. Meet Kevin talking down our favorite ape stock, AMC, and he says that naked short selling is legal and just fine. It's very frustrating to those of us who understand the fairness of objective of this movement and just how much Kevin Paffrath hurts that movement. It's unfortunate. Have a look. Welcome back. I'm your happy healer, Keith Landy, and we have Kevin Paffrath here. Once again, the governor hopeful Kevin Paffrath also made a name for himself in the financial community. He talks about so much to do with your wealth. However, when he gets it wrong in colossal ways. He's relatively popular on YouTube, and so therefore has the ability to move markets in ways not even he can appreciate, especially niche markets, a single stock, a single commodity or security. Whether you trash talk it in ways that are not fair or untrue, or speak it up in ways that are unrealistic. Kevin Paffrath does it all in the name of building his own profile up, convincing you that he knows something that you do not. However, it's all smoke and mirrors with Kevin. He speaks as if he knows, but he's unwilling to answer questions. He's running for governor. He won't answer questions there either. He still has no plan for healthcare and seemingly not interested in making a plan. In fact, the only thing I've ever heard from him about healthcare when it comes to California is that Med-Cal is something he is not thrilled with. Having listened to him over the course of the last year, his views come off as a Republican, yet he's running as a Democrat. It's like everything with this guy is smoke and mirrors, trying to trick people. If he can't win Democrats over with his policies, well then he's going to attempt to do it just by simply being a Democrat in name only. That is because Kevin is a charlatan. He is fake, unwilling to answer questions, unwilling to live up to promises even he makes, challenges he makes, such as the challenge he made to your happy healer lover when he challenged any politician so daring to debate his brilliance to come on his show and do it, and he invites it and challenges it. And yet after having received that challenge and accepted that challenge, well, let's just say Kevin Paffrath ran for the trees. He was not willing to do what he promised because in part he is unable to. He is a charlatan. Next up, take a look here. Kevin Paffrath speaking about naked short selling. This is a very important topic because this is how the people of America, the investments within America, the investments of people within our country are perverted by this practice of naked short selling, taking shares that don't even exist and using those shares, selling and throwing them back on the market in order to drive down the prices of your stocks, your family's investments. And the thing is with AMC stock, this is a movement of the people coming back and saying, we want to take the power back from these unscrupulous people who run the hedge funds, who run our lives, who work in the shadows, who are not honest, use greed beyond belief, just like Kevin Paffrath. And here is Kevin showing just how much he supports these folks by saying it's not illegal, when everybody knows it is illegal. On Kevin's show, I had actually brought up to Kevin, this is illegal. Well, he attempted to prove me wrong and thought he did so, made a big deal of it, and yet he's still wrong. This shows just how hard-headed Kevin is. He doubles down on mistakes rather than fixing them. By the time he comes around to fix them, he's got to make a big spectacle of it, and that is Kevin's way, because he doesn't budge easy and he is stubborn. Take a look.
Really a loophole for the brokerages to say, hey, look, our customer called us and said they wanted to short a bunch of AMC stock. We want to take care of this customer, so we enabled their short sale. But then we realized the stock was really illiquid. There weren't shares available to be borrowed. The share utilization was near 100%, like it has been for AMC until today. Now it's at about 90% utilization, so there are more shares available for shorting. And boom, you have a naked. Now, people say this is illegal, but folks, literally, if you go to the SEC.gov, it literally says right here, naked short selling is not necessarily a violation of the federal security laws or commission rules. Indeed, in certain circumstances, naked or short selling contributes to market liquidity. If you just type in naked shorting into Google and you go to Investopedia, it says naked shorting is the illegal practice of short selling. Well, apparently it's not, given that the SEC literally says it's not. And they talk about how there are actually cases where naked short selling is good. A market maker engaged in bona fide market making, particularly in a fast-moving market, may need to sell the security short without having arranged to borrow the shares. This is especially true for market makers in thinly traded illiquid stocks, as there may be few shares available to purchase or borrow at a time. Bingo. So, okay. Yeah, naked short selling happens. Now, the cool thing is, well, it's not really so cool because the SEC is like super slow on it, but the SEC does give you data on how many fail to delivers there are. And we're going to go out to May 10th, which is right here. We're going to see that there was volume of 38 million shares. So that's actually a sizable portion. That means literally on May 10th, almost 10% of the shares that traded that day failed to deliver. That's some serious naked short selling right there, right? That's an issue. In addition to that, the short interest on AMC is actually going down. Last week, we were at 20 to 18%. Now we're at 14%. So you've got share availability is up, which means probably less naked shorting because shares are available to be borrowed. So you don't have as many issues locating shares to borrow. You have short interest that's down. So far, we are seeing a little bit of a trend down in the amount of shorting that's happening. We're not seeing the massive spikes that we saw in January and March for put volume. We're not seeing that same massive spiking in short interest data as we are, or what we saw in even January or earlier. Because, for example, here, I can show you this. We're not at all-time lows. We have gone down to about 10.88% here, but we're definitely lower than where we have been. So does that mean the squeeze is getting squoze? And quite frankly, it doesn't matter to me because I'm hodling over $75,000 of AMC shares, and I don't really care if it goes down. I might buy more. In fact, I will buy more if it gets down to a certain level.
Now here is Matt Cords responding to Kevin Paffrath's assertion that naked shorting is legal, and it's not. Take a listen.
Why don't you explain that naked short is a legal practice? Me, Kevin did. It's not. It's an illegal practice. Naked shorting is not legal in any form or manner. It is illegal. Mob one. Why don't you explain that naked shorted is a legal practice? It's not. I don't explain that naked shorting is a legal practice because it's not. It's an illegal practice.
And here's another gentleman that I enjoy watching. He is a YouTuber that talks about AMC and backing AMC and the AMC apes and the movement. He wants to see fairness, and I want to see fairness as well. Good guy. Have a listen to him. He's also talking about the naked short sellers and just how illegal it is.
Asset tagging and share lending revisions prevents loaned borrowed shares from being loaned borrowed more than once. Okay, so that would stop these synthetic shares. That would stop the naked shorting. Continuing onward, the truth about naked short selling. Naked shorting is the illegal practice of short selling shares that have not been affirmatively determined to exist. Ordinarily, traders must borrow a stock or determine that it can be borrowed before they sell it short. Due to various loopholes in the rules and discrepancies between paper and electronic trading systems, naked shorting continues to happen. These short sales are almost always done only by options market makers because they allegedly need to do so in order to maintain liquidity in the options markets. However, these options market makers are often brokers or large hedge funds who abuse the options market maker exemption. So that is naked short selling right there. It's completely illegal. I don't know why people allow it. Well, I do know why, but it's because of greed. So they were shorting GME through the ETFs, not just straight up through the stock. They were also naked shorting it as well. So they're using all these nefarious and devious and misleading and deceptive techniques to short the stock. Okay, so if you're wondering why is the chart going down, it's not people selling. They're using these loopholes, but these loopholes are about to be shut off.
Obviously, Meet Kevin is getting something wrong because nobody agrees with him and he has these facts wrong. I've also looked up the particulars on this and I've talked to him on his show about it, and I'll be sharing that information as well in the future. So see you soon. So the other day I was watching MeetyMcGreedy. Of course, we know that's Meet Kevin. And my goodness, he got so excited. I want to share with you this excited moment for Meet Kevin. And before we get in... Yeah, folks, I'm just coming back because we had a technical difficulty on the previous set. So I'm just going to go ahead and, talk to you a little bit more here before I set up that next video. And I do apologize about that. Every now and again, you end up having these kinds of situations. This is only our second time back out in a live program, so that kind of thing does happen. It even happens to Kevin Paffrath, the Almighty. And we'll just go ahead and get right back to it. So, Greed Hell has served Kevin Paffrath, who teaches the fundamentals of Greed Hell to millions of people, and wants to put those same principles to practice on a grand scale as the governor of the state of California. Yes, that sounds dangerous and heartless to put someone forth that has every plan rooted in a spreadsheet. Humans are complex and requiring a dynamic commitment and care to their problems. Greed likes to simplify things and use trickery, saying, yes, it's better to keep things simple so we can maximize our productivity. Well, to that, I'd say I agree. Keep things simple, but never more simple than they actually are. Like how greed is with humanity. That is how you forsake and forego value in the most important commodity we have, ourselves, our brothers and sisters. And it would be wise for Kevin Paffrath for governor to realize that instead of putting all of his faith and love in his millionaire buddies he looks up to, like Robin, I won't get into it. We'll just let you see the next video coming up very shortly. And it ceases to amaze me that those who have advantaged themselves while their brothers and sisters are still dying in ways that are in vain to the value of their lives that they truly have. I don't think that there's any greater sin than reducing the sin and reducing the value of humanity to dollars and cents. This is how we get what we are really after. Loving community. A society our children can grow up in and be happy about. And that we allow folks to die just because the system can't imagine a way forward and can't take care of its people, given our place in the world and our immense financial strength with a strong growing economy and technological achievement. And though not the best we could do even, and still yet moving fast each year, leaving so many behind, where then and why then do we fail so miserably? And in part, the problems that exist in the world, my own view of how it's possible to fix it means that a seasoned investor can even appreciate. Because money and the system and the tools of finance, specifically as it relates to the markets, demands that our knowledge is vast and robust to understand various aspects of market functions that end up having great impact on our overall investments and thus our lives. We have talked about what matters to Kevin Paffrath quite a bit, but he isn't just turned on by money and turned off by normal folks who he views as work, but he's also turned on by people that he loves rubbing elbows with, the rich and the notoriously famous for being greedy bastards themselves. Of course, I won't give it away because you'll see for yourself here in just a moment. Next up, I want to show you just how much Kevin idolizes the money most of us will never have. He looks up to people that run the world, and I want you to have a look. So the other day I was watching MeetyMcGreedy. Of course, we know that's Meet Kevin. And my goodness, he got so excited. I want to share with you this excited moment for Meet Kevin. And before we get into it, what do you think got him so excited? Let's see, was it one of his course members making major bank on a deal? How about hearing about the homeless rate going down? Was it something like that? What could it be that got MeetyMcGreedy so tickled and giddy with excitement, moving with such energy, propelling him to laugh out loud? What could do that? Let's learn together.
Oh, hey, guess who just liked my rally tweet? Okay, I know a lot of you were still mad at him. Okay, I know that.
Yeah, that's because the guy's a horrible guy, and anybody who's not equally as mad at him is because, well, they're a shill for greed, of course.
But I think there's a lot of good in the intentions over at Robinhood. And check this out, my man Vlad
Definitely emphasizing your man, Vlad.
liked my tweet. Rally this Saturday in San Francisco. Sign up at meetkevin.com. Thanks, man. Appreciate the support.
Too bad he can't get that excited about his supporters who want to help out his campaign. But then again, they're no Vlad worth many billions of dollars. And that's what Kevin really appreciates and looks up to.
That's cool. Anyway, let's go back here. So, Grant Cardone.
My goodness, look at this guy, a grown man just acting like a giddy little baby, weenie baby, crying, almost losing tears, so happy, his heart touched. Yeah, that's what it does. Vlad really gets his giddy up. And that's unfortunate because there's a lot of people who really do deserve Kevin's appreciation for the effort and hard work they put into his life and shows and wealth and, sad to say, greed. And then watch next as he talks about a point when he would stoop as low as possible in order to get views, to build his YouTube channel. Perhaps he teaches about this in his psychology course of building a YouTube channel and making money, putting greed to work. And what is that he would teach? Well, of course, none other than going to Grant Cardone's office with a big effort to steal clout from Grant Cardone, saying that Grant's wrong in what he teaches. Of course, that's just greed attacking each other, and Kevin has plenty of that greed to go around. You know, some may even say that I'm stealing clout from Kevin now, and there's nothing wrong with that when you're doing it for the right reasons, bringing love and truth to the forefront, having people at the core interests within your heart, realizing their purpose and value will only ever be realized with the hard work you put into it, hoping others can learn from it and pull away from greed and realize that real value exists in one another and the world we can build for one another, coupled with the happiness we can experience from that better world. Kevin doesn't teach about that. He teaches about greed. And when he steals clout, he's stealing it because he just wants to do more greed.
Grant Cardone. I don't think so. Cardone. I don't think so. I don't think you've ever seen it. Oh, man.
I mean, after all, they're his most loyal and ardent supporters. I mean, would he do that to the people who tolerate him the most and just got done giving him over $130,000 for his campaign and he doesn't even have a campaign bus? Nah, I can't see that.
There's going to be a big inflationary adjustment, so the price will be going up a large amount on June 1st.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for watching the program. I will be back on in the future with more investigative programming that'll share with you a deeper dive in the life and ways of MeetyMcGreedy himself, Kevin Paffrath. We'll see you soon. Folks, thank you for watching. You folks are the reason why I do what I do. You're my family. I am so much grateful to you. And I have interesting content coming your way. This is part of the series, though I have another series also coming up soon that has nothing to do with Kevin Paffrath and all to do with you and me and our lives together. and what we're trying to accomplish and what AmericanMantics is putting out. Some of this is very funny stuff, even with Kevin, to be honest. And I'll always keep a light and happy tone on things, but this is very heavy stuff oftentimes as well. And I'm fair in criticism. I criticize even my own actions. You have to. As a humble person, no one is perfect. Kevin is not expected to be perfect. But for those who have so much, much is expected. Kevin is only interested in how much he can line in his own pockets, like many. And in his current effort in revamping his own life, I hope he takes time to consider his actions on the poor who couldn't convey to him just how much their plight is painful to them, and how much they wish they can help Kevin, who might be the next California governor, understand it. Their frustration is shared by me, who hopes we can do better. And so, Kevin, I ask you, if you're watching this, and I do believe you are, that you take the time to consider the folks who are less fortunate than you in ways that are real and translate. Not criticizing systems like Med-Cal, but to improve upon them and serve more people, especially those at the bottom, like the, unfortunately, many poor and homeless people on the streets of California who for so long wishes for a better life. Think about them, Kevin. I know you often go there and you talk about how you'll solve homelessness in 60 days, but that is actually offensive. Talk about what actually causes homelessness, and you might have a better chance at solving it. So that is going to be the program this evening. I'm not going to run over like I did last time. Typically, I like to spend about 1 hour on these live programs. Time now is about 9:36 p.m. on the East Coast, and God bless you, folks. I love you. I'm your happy hero lover. This is AmericanMantics, and we will see you next time. Watch out for and make sure you click on accepting all notifications, because you don't want to miss a single episode that comes out, especially the episodes that are geared towards you and the change this country needs, the system of AmericanMantics. And that's what we are always putting up against, the system of greed hell. That's how we live now. It's about greed. It's not just Kevin, it's the way the world works. And Kevin is just so good at it. And I wish the guy was just a little bit better at doing something that helped people better, rather than lined his own pockets. We'll see you soon. God bless you, and good evening.